do, baby? We f***ing out here, baby. Big nets, big fish. Get all this stuff out the way. Clear the deck. Clear the deck, man. Woo! That bitch was digging. Ooh, that Al Goldberg rod is working. That for everybody that know Al Goldberg. Hold on, this got a shovel. He digging. Swivel. Swivel. Coming up. Big fish out here. Now go back to all of my. Watch out. Jermaine, you happy now? Not yet.
We're getting there though, right? We're getting there.
Woo!
Welcome. Wow. This is Jim Vrenos for Real Talk. My co-host Barbara Layton is not here today. She'll be here for our next show. And we started our show today showing you a clip of Jermaine Owens of North Fork Seafood and his friend Junior catching, what is it, a
striped bass.
A striped bass.
Striped bass.
And we're going to talk about his many years as a fisherman. He's starting a new business now. It'll be at Shelter Island. We're going to talk all about that. And I am so really pleased. Jermaine and I have become friends here in the last several weeks. I've met him at the local farmers market,
Yes, sir.
and we've exchanged a lot of interaction. He's got a fabulous story, and he is so much part of what makes the Hamptons so important and so interesting and so diverse. And I'm just so glad that he's here. It's one of his busy days. He's taken time off to be with us today. So Jermaine Owens, thank you so very much for being on the show here today.
Jim, thank you. It's great to be here.
It
with a
really
good
is.
friend.
Well, we've talked about doing this for a while now, so here we are.
Here
And
we are.
I am so interested. I know our audience is interested. How did you get started in this business?
Long
By the way, you were born and raised in Greenport, correct?
born and raised in
Well,
Greenport.
Yeah. Sir,
Had my first job 1986.
1986 when you were
1986.
2 years old?
I was 9 years old, and started out scrubbing buckets, and worked my way up from there.
No, wait, how did that happen? You were just hung out by the docks?
Yeah,
or
so
what?
we lived on this street, Kaplan Avenue,
Yeah.
and there was a boat right down the road from us.
Uh-huh.
And I used to be up early. I
Yeah.
used to watch all of these people going down to this boat, and I used to hear him blow his horn every day at 7 o'clock. Meant the boat was leaving.
Huh.
And so I went down there one day, and I says to the guy, you blowing this horn every morning is cutting into my sleep,
Yeah.
And the captain looks at me. His name is Captain Dave Brennan. And
Wow.
he says, wow, kid, you're something else. He says, you need a job? And I said, yeah, why not? And then I started scrubbing buckets with him, and
Scrubbing buckets meaning
just
the
cleaning
fish?
the buckets. Yeah,
Yeah,
after
that-
the people
after
were
the
done,
fish.
after the end of the day, I walked around the boat and,
Right.
scrubbed all the buckets. They gave me 50 cents a bucket. It used to be 65, 70 buckets, so I made a
So
little
you
bit of
got
money.
you had this natural curiosity, and then you had this wonderful David, right?
Dave Brennan, yes, sir.
Dave Brennan, who became a mentor. Did he then start taking you out on
Yeah, so I was this kid that,
fishing trips, or
I was kind of like
yeah? How were
trying
you?
to get away from school all the time. And
Yeah.
he would tell me, he said, hey, if you want to fish, you have to go to school during the week. And you can fish with me every weekend. And that's really how it started. And my dad worked for this company called Cooper's. He what you would call a filletman. Like the boats would come in, unload their catch, and he would be filleting fish. And then they also had a section for retail, which came in later down the road when I seen these people online, kind of like at the market, like, and everyone's happy.
Now, this is in Greenport.
This is
We're
in
still
Greenport.
So there is, I mean, I know our audience, most of us don't really understand how complex this business is. And they're all, as you're saying, as you're beginning to tell us, there's all kinds of little parts and different divisions of work, and this person does that, and there's all kinds of regulations involved. So here you are, your dad is in the fillet.
Yeah.
So what is that? So the fish gets cut up,
Yeah. The fish get brought in by the boats.
brought in by the boat, and then what
They
happens
would offload
next?
them and
Offload
then
'em.
bring it right to my dad.
He was the first one they'd see.
The first
Okay.
one, there was a bunch of fillet men on a line.
I
And then
see.
they would fillet the catch that the boats had, the flounders, the striped bass, you know, the kingfish and all of that stuff, and take it right to retail. And everything was in the same building. And then people would come and purchase this fresh fish right off the boat. And that's where I got my whole, the lesson of, and the importance of selling a fresh product.
So it's like the Fulton Fish Market, a mini little Fulton Fish
Exactly.
Market, like in the,
Right. Just
So
on a small
everything-
scale.
but, right, and of course, it's now up in the South Bronx. But so the restaurateurs and the public could, came at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Your dad was up early.
My dad used to get to work probably about 5 o'clock, and
Wow.
retail would be up and running by 9.
Right.
Then the people can come in and buy whatever fish that the boats had to offer. So, you know, it was, I had the retail and the business side. When I went, you know, I would go with my mom to bring my dad lunch. And I seen this, all of these happy people on a retail line, and you see these boats coming in, unloading thousands of pounds of fish. You know, guys working the ice machines. It was very, very busy.
Yeah.
So at 9 years old, I was like, wow, this is what I wanted to do. You know?
Yeah,
So
wow.
I knew,
A lot of action.
you know, I'm 47 right now. You know?
Yeah, that's
And
that's not true. He doesn't. He's not 47. He just had a birthday, Juneteenth. But
Juneteenth.
But
yes, sir.
well, just okay for the sake of we're going to say you're 47. He's actually 31. But, all right. Anyway,
I feel it. I feel 30.
well, you look at so this is fabulous. So there was 1986. There was, I mean, compared to now, in terms of the amount of fish that you, I mean, do we have the same amount?
Absolutely not.
No, that's right.
Absolutely
so we're
not.
fishing.
Yeah, I mean that the drag boats came along. You know, they do a number on the fishery. You know, climate change. There were more local fish back in the 80s than there is now.
That's what I want to find out. So when you say local fish, what are you talking
So
about?
back then we had blowfish, we had kingfish, you know, we had bluefish, we had weakfish, eels, you know, at least 10 or 12 local fish.
Right.
Now that, you know, now there's like, I don't know, 6 or 7. You got the sea bass that's still around, you got the striped bass that's still around. Flounder is non-existent. I mean, there is a couple of holes I know off Connecticut that we can go pinhook a few. The weakfish are actually just starting to come back. I've seen them come back in large numbers over the last 2 or 3 years. You know, and of course we know the bluefish, the kingfish. I see, you know, we might catch a couple of them, but nowhere near the numbers that they used to be.
Just like everything else, the small entrepreneur, the small farmer, the small fisherman, it's more and more difficult to make that living. And now you've opened up a market
Right.
correct?
Correct.
And Shelter Island,
Right.
just the last couple of weeks.
Mhm.
So it sounds like, I haven't been there, but describe that, it sounds like a mini market that you grew up with.
Yeah,
In a sense,
it
isn't
is.
it?
It's a yeah. It is
Look
a
at how you're
mini.
smiling.
It
Yeah,
is a
that's-
mini market.
It's a
and
dream
and
come true.
yes, it is a dream that has. There's this thing called the universe, and you deposit positive thoughts into this universe, and it really does happen to you. I've always wanted a brick and mortar, um, and with the price of the rent, it had to work perfectly for me, and it did, and I was able to, yes, move into which is now Norfolk Seafood on Shelter Island,
And Shelter Island.
and do things old school. I'm very, very old school,
I wanted to, so glad you mentioned that, because when I met you, I can tell, because as a kid growing up in the city, we had a couple of fish markets, believe it or not, on Broadway. Very fresh, Harold and Morris, I remember, and they would have them on ice and so on. But old school, they really took their job so seriously. They weren't gonna, sell a bunch of crap to
Right.
people. And I noticed that with you,
Mm.
and dealing with you at the farmers markets.
Right.
And so that's part of it, isn't it? It's very personalized. You take enormous pride in what you're doing and what you're selling to people.
Absolutely. Well, pride is the first thing, and then love. You got to have a love for whatever you do, and the love is gonna put you on a different level than everybody else. And growing up in this business and watching, my father and my uncles were also filletmen. Just they cared so much about what they did, and I think watching that, it rubbed off on me, so everything is that I deal with has to be clean. My when you approach me, my presentation has to be on a different level. I personally, skin color, I have to be on a different level.
Well, we were gonna get into that too, because again, growing up in Greenport, I mean, it's, God bless our community in the area, but it's not as diverse. Certainly, it's more diverse today.
More diverse,
But
yes.
you're really a pioneer. Your family were pioneers. So how did that feel growing up and knowing, in a way, to prove yourself, you had to be, in a way, better than others. Sort of other groups have felt that way too, particularly Jews who coming in were, expecting, well, I've got to be absolutely perfect. I mean, did you feel that way too? In order
I
to
felt
deal with the competition.
I didn't really pay attention to that.
Right.
I felt it. I felt it on my shoulders. I mean, because we've always had to work harder.
When you say that, just sort of, it's almost invisible. It's there in the
It's-
soul.
Right.
It may not be that apparent, but it's there.
Right. There were certain things that I had to focus on, in building a brand and getting people to trust me, which only happened during COVID, really. I mean, during COVID was a time that I really leveled up myself. And I've always believed that whoever you come in contact with, right, you want to kind of like develop a relationship with.
Yeah.
So during COVID, when we had masks and gloves on and carrying disinfectant, I had a really huge delivery deal. That was the first thing I like when I jumped into retail. I had a delivery model.
So wait, you catch the fish, I mean, that, and you fillet it, you
Mhm.
prepare it,
Mhm.
and now you're also, you're one man, well, not a one man operation, you do have others that work for you and?
Well, my mom worked for me.
Yeah,
You know, she's basically on the register, but you
right.
know, all of the you know, I'm wearing all the other hats.
You are, right.
So I'm fishing when I get a chance. I'm processing the fish. I'm delivering the fish. I'm bringing the fish to, you know, my market on Shelter Island, and also the markets that I see you at, Sag Harbor,
Right.
Port Jeff. So it's just a hustle that I've always been. You have to be brought up in this thing with the hustle, with the love, and a respect for it.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to have longevity, and you got to be your skin is you got to wear a certain skin. You know, I've been threatened by other big companies. You know, telling me watch who I sell my fish to and who I deal with. You know,
It's like the mob in a way.
yeah, they try and be the mob.
They
you
try.
know. But you know, you brush it off your shoulders and you keep on trucking. I mean, you know, I look when things get hard. I look at my ancestors, what my people went through before me,
Right.
right? Because what we doing now is easy, you know. Then way back in the days of, you know, I don't want to get into it, but that's my motivation.
Get into it.
And that keeps me moving at 150,000%.
Really interesting. Yeah. So you're the first in the family that's really been that's been able to establish a retail business.
Happy, yes, sir.
In a sense,
Mhm.
yeah. So you've seen your uncles and your father and who knows else in the family been involved in the business, and they've done their due diligence,
Mhm.
and now they're passing and have passed the torch on to you. So
Absolutely.
it's a beautiful tradition. It's something the Owens family you're representing, and it really means something. Your brand, in a sense.
Absolutely, it means a lot. You know, it was a rough start, and if you can make it through that rough start, you can make it through anything. Like if you can live in New York on Long Island, man, you can live anywhere on this planet. You know.
Well, just in terms of numbers, I mean, let's say when you started in 1986, let's say, or your father, how many African American fishermen, small fishermen, were around then?
Well, there was a lot of African American fish cutters. There wasn't a lot of African American captains. There were a couple.
They had boats. They had a couple boats.
There was
Or was
you
it
know,
they owned it?
they owned the boat. They did the fishing, but I never really knew them. You know, there's just like what I do. There's not many a guy that looks like me doing what I do. A lot of times people come and they ask, well, who's the owner?
Oh yeah.
And then I say, well, that's me. And then they look at me like I got four heads, like
Yeah, they're still
like a
thinking.
black guy can't be a owner,
Yeah.
you know? But to a lot of people, it's a surprise, you know? But again, you know, you keep your head down and you keep proving them wrong. That's what I do.
You're the Jackie Robinson of the the fish trade on
I
on
love
the East,
that. I'll
right?
take it. I'll take it.
And
I'll
that
take
you and you're the say hey kid too.
it. I love it.
So but tell me now, there's a lot of regulations, right? You need a license. Not anybody can just get their own boat and just take off, right?
Yeah, you need all
There's
kinds of
limit.
licensing. There's
What-
even certain licensings that you can't even get no more.
Like what?
Like gillnet licensing.
Gillnet.
Yeah, I mean,
What does
it's
that mean?
so you set a net up in a big area that
Right.
fish will go through, and they come and they get caught in the gill net. They call it.
Right.
They call it a gill net because, you know, once you picking these things off the net, you can see that they tried to swim through this gill net and then.
Right. So was it now? Is that different than you mentioned before about the drag?
Yeah, drag boats are.
Oh, that's different.
They're moving, so they set this. They got two big doors with a net attached to them, and they're moving along and they're taking everything in its path.
And the bigger companies are able to do that, or some of the small companies do it too?
Some of the bigger companies do it, but it's a lot of guys that I know that do it on their own. That got drag boats.
Is that allowed? I mean, you hear
The
about
guys that have the licensing.
you have the license, because you hear about these unbelievable drag boats for miles, right, in the ocean, and
Yeah.
just taking all the fish they can get, and
They do some damage down there.
right, because
A lot of the
A lot of
restaurants
overfishing,
that I
yeah.
deal with now,
yeah,
they want rod and reel caught. Pinhook, like you seen when we first started
that's
the video.
called pin.
That's pinhooking.
Pinhook.
That's a rod and reel.
Right.
A lot of restaurants don't want to deal with the hydraulics, and you got a drag boat, you get this net, it's 10,000 pounds of fish in the net. The fish are getting damaged,
Yeah,
they're
right.
stressed out. These new restaurant owners are very picky in what they want, but that's okay. But for me, I grew up in the pinhooking industry. So
Right.
a lot of the stuff that I get rod and reel swordfish and rod and reel tuna fish, I got a huge network of guys that I've been dealing with for years.
Right.
So for me, it's a little bit more simple.
And something that's better quality.
Better quality. You see the quality.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's delicious. I gravitate. I tried the shark, not the shark, the swordfish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the shrimp are just fantastic. I mean, I do like, as you know, the wild salmon
Right,
too.
right,
But
right.
that's now I don't know. That's going by the wayside. Everything is farm raised, and
Yeah,
there's no comparison, right?
there's no I try and stay away from the frozen, the farm raised. That's why I like to deal with all the wild salmons, and when you like I said, when you come and I open my showcase, everything is brand new. It's gleaming. It's all wild, natural caught stuff.
Yeah.
And it's different than going to a fish market where stuff can be sitting there for 5-6 days. And it's good, but it's not like getting that right out of the water experience.
5-6 days sounds like it's a little too long to
Well,
be sitting there.
it's
Yeah.
in a sense, but there's meat that when you go to the store that's been sitting on the shelf for 5-6 days.
Oh,
as
you
well.
you go to the supermarkets.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, yeah, right. So yeah, so
Everything got a shelf life. For me, I like to play it safe, and you get seafood from me, it's going to be a day, maybe 3 days old, and that is. The fish is still, you can see the translucent, the life in the fillet, I call it.
yeah, isn't you see it in the eyes, that right? Doesn't have to be clear. I mean, how do you know that you're having you smell? How do you know that you really have a fresh fish?
I catch
I know
it.
from you, yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, in the old days, didn't you? What did they tell you? Always look at
so you want to
the
look at
eyes.
the eyes. If the eyes are
right,
a cloudy white, like it's got a cloud on it,
right,
or the gills don't have that like fresh blood
yeah,
look to it. If the gills are a little gray, or if you're in the fish market and you want to look at the gills, and if you open the gills and the gill plate is not in the fish, meaning the gills are removed,
yeah.
leave that fish alone. Because they
Why would
remove
that
the
be?
gills,
Yeah.
because the gills and the stomach is the first thing that go bad.
I see. So they've removed it, so you can't tell that it's. So there's all kinds of tricks of the trade
All
here.
kinds of tricks, all kinds of tricks. But you can have a fish submerged in ice, a fresh fish, and you might take it out of the ice, and it might have a little cloudy
Right.
look to the eye. But then you just look at the skin, like a sea bass. It's beautiful. It's got blue in it. The black is shiny. If it's faded or you don't see
firm, you poke it. It's gotta be
if-
firm.
If the meat bounce back at you, that's a great indication that it's fresh.
And the smell.
And the smell.
You got-
If you walk in the fish market and it smell like fish,
Watch out.
watch out. Because if you come to my shop, fresh fish don't have a smell. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, that's
When you come up to my stand, do you smell fish?
no.
Absolutely not, because it's fresh out of the water.
Yeah, that's
You know,
a great.
so
Well, we only have a couple more minutes for this segment. We're gonna do another segment because there's so much more to talk with you about, Jermaine. So, again, um, in the 2 minutes that we have of this segment, how would you like to leave us in terms of your own business now that you've started, that you're getting underway? How is that working out? How is that
you know,
happening?
there is some struggles, right? But
Such
that's
as?
that's in anything. You know, you
Right.
starting something, you got to get the community to come in
Right,
and trust you, especially the place that I just took over.
right.
The people that was there, they weren't selling really good fish.
Now, so you took over another market.
Shelter Island Seafood.
I see, Shelter Island Seafood, and you're gonna now you are calling it North
North Fork
Fork
Seafood.
Seafood, okay. So it's your name, your brand, and, right, and you've established the reputation that will carry you over into being this hit
I hope so.
in Shelter Island. Now, there's a restaurant nearby, I've gotta come visit this.
Yeah, I mean, there's Leon, which is popular. I love Leon. I sell seafood to them.
They're next door to you?
They're right down the road.
Right down the road.
Maybe a half a mile. And
Okay.
also the Pridlin. Pridlin is
So there's a lot of places where people can go and go to a restaurant and have your fish.
absolutely.
And who knows, maybe you'll have a restaurant there at some point too.
Yes,
So listen, we're gonna wrap up this first segment. There's a lot more to talk about. So hang on with us with Jermaine Owens, North Fork Seafood. We'll see you again very, very soon for the second part of our show.